Who gave her the rifle? She's not even on the operations roster. The colonel's voice thundered across the ridge, but it was already too late. One shot had echoed. 6 soldiers were alive. The threat was gone, and the quiet woman who pulled the trigger simply lowered her weapon and whispered. It was the right angle. The colonel froze. Who authorized her? Her name was Claire Dalton, age 41. Sharp-eyed, quiet-spoken, short sand-blonde hair, wire-frame glasses, lean and deliberate in movement. She was assigned to Camp Ridgeway, a forward operating base tucked into the wind-burned plains of North Dakota. Officially listed as a communications technician. No formal file in operations, no rank insignia. She repaired radio transmitters, climbed towers in the freezing dusk, recalibrated signal arrays during dust storms. She carried crates with the young recruits. Never complained, never slowed down. Most soldiers respected her and forgot her 5 minutes later. Essential support, invisible personnel. They called her the tech lady. Some assumed she was logistics. Others guessed civilian contractor. She rarely corrected them. Claire didn't talk much, unless someone asked her something directly. She barely said a word. She spent her evenings alone in the comms shed, fingers flying over open circuit boards, antenna schematics, and failing amplifiers with the quiet intensity of someone who knew lives depended on her silence working. One private once joked, "She probably doesn't even know which end of the rifle the bullets come out of." His squad laughed. No one noticed the faint pencil marks Claire made on the terrain maps tracking wind flow across elevation lines, even though no one had asked her to. She didn't share a bunk, didn't hang photos, didn't call home. When asked about her background, she'd just shrug and say, "I fix things that break." One time, a radio officer offhandedly asked. "Ever been under fire?" Claire paused her soldering, gave a small, wry smile, once or twice. What nobody knew was that Claire had specifically requested Ridgeway after reading one word in the field report's Black Ridge Bluff. That name wasn't just coordinates to her. It was history. Bad history. She'd been there once before under very different circumstances, with a different name. Every time someone mentioned Black Ridge in briefings, her jaw tightened just slightly. But she never said a word, never hinted that she knew the slope, the rocks, the wind patterns better than any drone could. To them, she was just the tech, the quiet woman fixing radios in the back of the tent. They had no idea that she memorized every patrol schedule, listened to every intel drop, studied threat assessments like someone who once commanded kill zones, and they definitely didn't know that she'd been tracking sniper activity for weeks. Catching patterns intel had missed, because sometimes the people you overlook are the only ones actually paying attention. A 6-man squad had been assigned to install communication uplinks on Black Ridge Bluff, a windswept, elevated ridge known for its ideal drone relay line of sight. The mission routine, standard protocol. Intelligence reports listed no active hostiles, just escort a few techs, mount the gear, and head back to Camp Ridgeway. Claire Dalton volunteered to go. Said she needed to test signal strength at altitude and confirm compatibility with the uplink hardware. No one questioned it. The squad leader approved the request without a second thought. Having a tech along made perfect sense. Halfway through the installation, as the final uplink was being bolted into place, a shot cracked through the air. Sharp, precise, professional. The squad's point man dropped where he stood, a hole in his chest plate. Another soldier screamed as a second bullet shredded through his shoulder. Sniper, well-positioned, well-trained, and very much still watching. The squad leader shouted into the comms, requesting immediate extraction, but air support was 20 minutes out, and the open ridge offered almost no cover, just loose rock, spare gear crates, and scattered antenna parts. The surviving soldiers scrambled for anything solid, but the sniper had sight lines from multiple angles. Another shot whistled past, grazing the squad's medic as he crawled toward the wounded. And in the middle of the chaos, Claire Dalton didn't panic. She moved low and fast behind a supply crate, her eyes already reading the terrain, calculating range, wind speed, elevation, angles. She turned to the medic. "Is there a designated marksman rifle in the truck?" He blinked, confused. "Yeah, but it's locked down. That's not for open it. You're not authorized to handle weapons." Claire didn't flinch. "I don't need authorization. I know this wind." The medic hesitated, then fumbled for the keys as another bullet slammed into the dirt nearby. Claire moved like she'd done it 100 times, unlocked the weapons case, retrieved a suppressed Maverick X7 with scope, checked the chamber, adjusted the 0 for 300 meters, dropped to the ground in perfect prone position, flawless form, the kind you only see in special ops training videos. "What are you doing?" the squad leader hissed. Claire's voice was steady. "My job." She scanned the opposing ridge through the scope, reading grass movement, dust trails, micro shifts in the wind. Her breathing slowed to a rhythm so measured. It sounded like memory. Then the enemy sniper fired again. Flash, found. Claire adjusted 2 degrees left for crosswind, half-click high for uphill angle, exhaled, and squeezed the trigger. One shot, clean, precise, silence. Through her scope. She watched the sniper's silhouette tumble backward off the ridge. 6 soldiers lay breathing, stunned and alive. And Claire. She calmly safed the rifle and whispered, "Threat neutralized." Through her scope. Claire Dalton watched the silhouette fall, a black figure crumpling backwards off the ridge. Silence settled across Black Ridge Bluff. No more gunfire, just 6 soldiers, hearts pounding, lungs burning, hands shaking. Slowly realizing they were still alive, one of them whispered, What just happened?" Another turned, staring at Claire like he'd never seen her before. You killed him." Claire calmly safed the rifle, set it down with steady hands. "Threat neutralized," she said simply, then pointed toward the bleeding medic. "Call for medevac. He's going into shock." The squad leader, Staff Sergeant Cole Brenner, looked at her differently now, his voice low, uncertain. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" Claire gave a half shrug. Already crouched beside the wounded. Long story. Back at Camp Ridgeway. The story spread like wildfire. The tech lady, the one nobody noticed. She took the shot. Saved the entire squad. You should have seen her. One soldier said, like she was born for it. Within the hour. The base was buzzing, not with celebration but with confusion, suspicion, disbelief, and Colonel Hank Whitmore was livid. He stormed into the debrief tent, face red with fury. Who authorized her to discharge a weapon that's a direct violation of base protocol? Moments later, Claire walked in calm, composed, carrying a neatly typed incident report. She placed it on the table in front of him without a word. Whitmore snapped, "Dalton, who gave you permission to open fire?" "There wasn't time to request authorization, sir." Claire replied evenly, 6 lives were in immediate danger. That's not your call to make." The colonel barked, "You're not combat personnel, you're a technician." Then, Brenner stepped forward. "Sir, with all due respect, if she hadn't taken that shot, we'd all be dead." Another soldier, Private Logan Tate, added, "She didn't just fire a weapon. Sir, she took the shot like a ghost. Perfect form, perfect execution." The colonel turned to Claire again, anger replaced by something else, curiosity. "What's your real background?" he asked quietly. "I've reviewed your personnel file. There's no record of any advanced marksmanship training." Claire hesitated. Then, slowly, she reached for her sleeve and rolled it up. On her forearm, faded but unmistakable, was a tattoo, a black kestrel, wings spread, clutching a lightning bolt, encircled by an obsidian triangle, Spectre Division Unit Kestrel. The room went still. No one spoke, no one breathed. Colonel Whitmore's voice dropped to a near whisper. That program was terminated 10 years ago. Unit Kestrel was officially disbanded after Operation Iron Veil. Claire nodded faintly. We weren't supposed to exist. When the mission fell apart, survivors were reassigned. New names, new lives, no combat clearance. Sergeant Brenner gasped. You're one of them. You're Spectre. You're one of the legends. Claire didn't respond. She just looked away, like someone used to carrying a burden no one else could see. I'm not that anymore, Claire Dalton said quietly. Her voice, even, just someone trying to make what's left of old skills useful. Colonel Whitmore took a step back, absorbing the weight of what she'd just revealed. Her shot had saved Black Ridge Squad. A perfect elimination, flawless execution, no friendly casualties, no chaos. And yet here they were discussing reprimands. A long silence fell over the tent. The colonel looked around at the faces of the men Claire had saved, still pale from adrenaline. Then, at her arm, where the faded Spectre Division tattoo, half hidden beneath rolled-up fabric, told a story no file ever could. Then finally at the report she'd written, methodically and humbly as if it were just another day in tech support. Slowly, deliberately. Whitmore stood at attention. He raised his hand in a formal salute. You weren't authorized, he said. Then his voice softened. But you were right. Around the room, the soldiers rose one by one. No one said a word. They just saluted, not out of regulation, out of respect. Claire returned it briefly, just a nod. Just enough. Then permission to return to my duties. Sir, granted. The colonel replied. She turned to leave, but he called after her. Dalton. She stopped. Thank you. That evening, Colonel Whitmore called a private meeting with senior staff. He stood by the whiteboard with a black marker in hand, but didn't write anything. Instead, he said, we need to talk about what happened today, and how many of our technicians might be more than they appear, because the truth was becoming clear. In a world of classified units, covert disbandments, and buried field records, you never really knew who sat beside you in the mess hall. The quiet one fixing your radio might have been the deadliest sniper in military history. The unassuming tech loading gear could be the difference between life and death when everything falls apart. And sometimes, breaking protocol is the only reason anyone survives. 3 days later, Claire submitted a request for reassignment. Official reason: comm relay installation complete. The soldiers from Black Ridge Squad tried to convince her to stay. You belong out here with us, not stuck behind a desk fixing transmitters. Claire smiled gently at their earnestness, but her voice was resolute. One shot was all I had to give. It's time to move on. That night, she packed everything she owned into a single duffel, left a small note on her workbench, and clean handwriting equipment is fully calibrated. The next tech will find everything in working order. Take care of each other. W. The next morning, Colonel Whitmore found her at the edge of the transport yard. Dalton. He said, I've been thinking. We could use someone with your background on our tactical team. Claire looked him in the eye. With respect. Sir, I'm more useful when people don't know what I'm capable of. She paused. When they just see a technician, they talk freely. I learn things that briefed officers never hear. Whitmore nodded. Slowly. You're saying you prefer to work undercover, I'm saying, she replied. That sometimes. The most important protection comes from the people no one suspects. Then she climbed into the back of the supply truck. No ceremony, no farewell. Just a woman who used to be a ghost and knew exactly how to disappear again. As the supply truck pulled away from Canyon Ridge Base, Sergeant Tyler Malik jogged alongside, waving his cap. Hey, we never got your real name. Claire Dalton glanced back through the dusty rear window. She didn't answer. She just smiled. And then she was gone. 2 weeks later, Colonel Whitmore found a plain, unmarked envelope slid beneath his office door. Inside, a series of maps marked with sniper nests across 3 hostile sectors, accompanied by radio intercepts, terrain analysis, and timing forecasts. No signature, no trace. But the tactical insights, surgical, brilliant, unmistakably hers. He locked the folder in a drawer and said nothing. A month passed. Then another base this time. Outpost Valor reported that their newly assigned communications technician had intercepted an ambush just hours before it was set to spring. She'd noticed a pattern in enemy radio silence, a rhythm only someone who'd once hunted, and once been hunted, could recognize again. No fanfare, no medals, just one squad that got to go home intact. 6 months later. Camp Redstone credited a low-profile logistics clerk with identifying a foreign operative who'd slipped past 3 levels of clearance. No one could explain how she caught it, but those who knew didn't have to ask. Claire Dalton was still out there, still saving lives, still watching, still protecting, just not from the front lines, and not under orders. One quiet evening, back at Canyon Ridge, something new appeared in the Echo 9 tactical room, a memorial plaque, polished, small, discreet. 6 returned. 1 remained unseen. Beneath it, in tight, careful handwriting, "The best guardian is the one nobody knows is watching." It wasn't signed, but nobody needed a name, because sometimes it's not about the stripes you wear, or the title they give you, or the chain of command. Sometimes it's about instinct, about one shot, one moment, that saves everything. Claire Dalton didn't wait for permission. She saw 6 lives in danger and remembered who she used to be. A ghost, a sniper, a protector. Not all heroes stand on podiums. Some sit silently behind a broken radio, fixing the wires, listening to whispers no one else hears, in a world obsessed with protocol, paperwork, and performance reviews. Maybe it's time we started honoring instinct again, because the most dangerous assumption we can make is that the quiet one in the corner doesn't know how to lead. The most powerful protection often comes from the person you didn't think to ask, the one who's been trained to act even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. Look around your workplace, your community, your life. The person everyone overlooks might be the only one who can save it.